With all the hype surrounding that stray cat game, I hope that the similarly themed Endling, Extinction is Forever, will not be completely overshadowed. This four-legged adventure tosses us into an ever-changing world that forces a fox and her young cubs to not only survive the hostile weather conditions, but also humans, predators, and, worst of all, deforestation. This is an emotional journey that is equal parts heart-wrenching and life-affirming, creating the kind of must-play game that only comes around once every so often. This is my review of Endling, Extinction is Forever. Forget about Elden Ring or that Horizon sequel because Endling has the year's most exciting start. As a fox, we race through the burning forest, avoiding falling trees, out-of-control flames, cars, and just anything else that gets in our way. What we don't realize at the time is that the fox actually has a really good reason to make it to safety. You see, it's because she's about to birth 4 adorable cubs. That's right, this isn't a story about a lone fox, but rather an entire family that we're going to need to feed and nurture. Now, suddenly things just got a lot more complicated. At first, life is about exploring the winter wonderland and scrounging for food that the fox can take back to the youngsters in the lair. However, that mission quickly changes when one of the cubs gets nabbed by a mysterious man. This understandably lights a fire in the belly of the new mother to rescue her cub and reunite the family once and for all. Now it's up to the young family to work together to sniff out clues and fight back, all while scavenging for food and avoiding the forest's many predators. Endling plays out episodically, with each level representing a single night. Because foxes are nocturnal, we're only given a short amount of time each night to investigate the surroundings, gobble up food, and search for important clues. But the thing is that you don't want to stay out too long, because once night turns to day, the humans come out in full force, and one shot of their gun is all it takes to leave those cubs motherless. This is where we'll need to use our instincts and stealthy maneuvers to stay alive and teach the cubs some important lessons. It's worth mentioning that all this happens on a 2.5D plane. Although it looks like 3D, this is very much a side-scrolling adventure game. It's also an open-world game, so you'll need to make note of the different paths that you can take to further explore the ever-changing forest. Getting around is a little hard at first, but we quickly learn the markers that denote a new path. We can also check the map, just in case we need to figure out where to go next or how to get there. The game also helps us get around by leaving scents to important clues. Anytime we pick up a purple scent, we know that the fox snapper has left 3 more items for us to investigate, getting us just one step closer to rescuing the cub. The game will also highlight nearby food that you can either kill or collect. And in one of the best moves the developer could have ever made, the game just straight up shows us how to get back to the cave when night is about to end. This saves us from having to constantly pull up the map. It's a lifesaver. Now, I use the words ever-changing to describe the forest because this is one of those games where the open world is constantly changing around us. At first it's just the shift from winter to spring, but then you'll quickly realize that there's an influx of humans, and that's bad news. There are fewer trees every day, and people just seem to be leaving more garbage around. What's more, there's only refugees living here, and big corporations making it hard for the wildlife to survive. Watching the forest change from day to day is just as compelling and sad as tracking down the missing cub. Look, I think it's clear that this game comes with a message about nature and how humans are encroaching on the forests that house wolves and bears and all kinds of other wild animals. While there are a few friendly humans here and there, we are clearly the bad guys in this story. Of course, that was probably obvious when you read that subtitle. While I'm sure that there are people that are going to complain that the message is a bit heavy-handed, I didn't mind. I like that it takes us on an emotional journey through a forest that is constantly in flux. And I think it's cool how the open world is changing within that story. Honestly, I wish more games would commit to a message and play it out to an extreme degree. Then again, it definitely helps that the fox napping mystery is compelling and exploring the ever-changing open world is a lot of fun. I especially like how we're constantly teaching the Cubs new life lessons that they're going to take with them well into the future. This is just an incredibly emotional story full of ups and downs. But you know what? It's also hopeful and life-affirming. There's a nice balance here. I mean, there are some incredibly depressing moments, yet there are just as many joyous, even comical sections that are going to stick with you for years to come. It's a story about persisting and never giving up, even when everything is stacked against you. Even though it's about a fox and her cubs, there's a lot of humanity sprinkled throughout the adventure, and the final act is truly something special. And hey, let's not forget that the game is absolutely gorgeous. From the very opening with that run through the forest fire, you know that this is going to be a visual treat. This is a game that will stun you with its beauty, only to slowly have the game turn into a literal garbage dump. But even at its dingiest, the backgrounds are always detailed and full of life. And it's not just the backgrounds, but also the cartoony humans that we interact with. This is the kind of game that shows you the story without saying a word, so paying attention to the small and sometimes heart-wrenching details is a must. Look, Endling is the kind of game that knows what it wants to say and then perfectly executes on that plan. It has a deep and moving story that ultimately throws you into the hot seat and barely gives you a moment to breathe. While it's a little confusing at first, the world is fun to explore and it's constantly changing as the Cubs grow up and learn new tricks. From the gameplay, to the graphics, to the calming acoustic music, this game does just about everything right, including the environmental message, which I didn't find to be too heavy-handed. Endling, Extinction is Forever, may have a depressing title, but it's easily one of the best games that I've played this year. Heartbreaking, exciting, life-affirming, intense. These are just a few of the words that I could use to describe Endling, an unforgettable new adventure game that mixes a Metroidvania-style world with elements from both the survival and stealth genres. With stunning visuals and backgrounds that are constantly changing, this is a confident side-scroller with a strong environmental message. But beyond any of that, Endling, Extinction is Forever, is a fun journey with a lot of fresh ideas and a family dynamic that will bring you to tears. Yeah, this game is truly something special. Hey, thanks for watching our review. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we post new reviews and features almost every day. Now, here's the question I have for you. What game surprised you the most in 2022? Was it one of the big games? Maybe something small? Who knows, maybe it was even something that didn't even come out this year. Let me see your picks in the comments below. In other news, we'll be back shortly with a review of Formula Bit Racing DX and just a whole pile of other games. Needless to say, I'm really busy right now. If that sounds good to you, then I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then,